All right. Hey guys, good morning. How we all doing? Let a couple people roll in here. Um, but the kind of the main gist of this live is going to be how do I get all this nutrient data? So when I have every bit of every line that I have on here, whether it's Jax, Athena, Lucas, whatever it may be, how do I actually get this data? What the hell am I using to do it? Do I just pull it out of the air? Do I calculate it by hand? What's going on? Well, spoiler alert, we use a nutrient calculator called HydroBuddy, and I've been very open about that, but sometimes it scares some people off, thinking a nutrient calculator, all these parts per million, things like that. But it's freakishly simple, and anyone can do it. If you can read a label, you can use HydroBuddy. It is really that simple. So we'll let some people roll in here. Let's check out how the stream is doing. All right, perfect. So you guys are looking at my whole screen right now. Everything that I have on my screen, you guys will see. Should be nothing hidden, which will allow us to do this. So when I go into the OBS, you'll see some stuff. So just roll with it, but it'll be better for you guys in the long run. So hold on, let's check it out. Okay, so we do have chat here. How could we do this? I guess we could pop out chat. And then we can go back to the nutrient calculator and say, bring up, wow, there's so much open. Bring up chat just to see how everyone's doing. All right. Perfect. Okay. So, excuse me. I use a program called HydroBuddy to do all this. It is a free program that you can download from the internet. So if we just go to Google and you can just type in HydroBuddy, it should come up. Of course it does. If not, HydroBuddy Nutrient Calculator will 100% get you there. And it is by a website called Science in Hydroponics. And that is also the name of the Instagram handle for Daniel Fernandez, the guy who wrote this. He's active on Instagram, does a lot of nutrient videos, well worth your follow. He's also on Bean Basement Cap's website, so you hang out there, all good stuff. So go on here. It's very simple. It's free. You can donate if you'd like. You can go to his YouTube, the whole deal. But first page should have everything you need right here. And as we scroll down, there's a couple options to download it. You guys should know how to download a program by now. Just check to make sure we are. Okay, let's back this up. Come on, Gene, get your shit together. Okay, let's back this up. HydroBuddy, we Google it. Comes up with the first link, Science in Hydroponics. You click on that. First page is exactly where we need to be. And at this point, we're going to go down and gives us download options, whether you're on Windows, Linux, Mac, or you want the open source for that gnarly. You can also get it for Android. They do not have it for Apple, iOS, so kind of bummed on that, but they do have it for the standard operating system for a desktop. So what I'm currently on, the system that I'm on, is a MacBook Pro first generation M1. So really shitty processor to have for most programs at this time, especially kind of a smaller program like this. There's not much updates, so I highly suggest you either run it for Linux or you run it for Windows if you can. If you have Apple and you have enough that you run like Windows Parallel or something like that, that would be my number one suggested way, is to run the Windows application, whether you run it on a Mac and do it, or you just run it standard on a Windows. With that said, I have downloaded HydroBuddy for Mac on this. And then when you download it, here we're just going to open it up right now. When you download it, it gives you this database files not found. Please select HydroBuddy installation folder. Just follow me here. You click OK. It takes you to the window that has the HydroBuddy came from. I do not click anything. I do not select anything. I do not hit anything. I just hit open, and the program works perfectly from here on out. We can save formulas. We can input formulas. They come up when we reopen. It works perfectly. I've had a couple people tell me it doesn't work, but then when they just hit OK like that, it works perfectly. So don't let that fool you on the Mac. But again, Windows is pretty damn flawless as far as that goes. Okay. Perfect. So once you download it and once you've opened it up, we have this front page. And believe it or not, all these tabs tell you exactly how to use HydroBuddy. Believe it or not, crazy concept, right? They have instructions. So types of calculations you can do, which is essentially you can input your values or you can copy some solutions. We'll get into that. Selecting different chemicals. So this is how to input them. I'll show you how to do some of this, but this is how to do it right here. Selecting the properties, inputting their formulas, and then configuring the parameters. So everything you need is on these lower tabs. After that, we can go into the main page tab and the results tab and have most of our get most of our action. This is what we're actually here to look at. So when you open it up, kind of on the left here, you see some formulas already in here. Don't worry about those. We'll get into those later. But the key things you're going to have to look at are the volume right here in the center. It defaults to 100. I like to put it to 1 per gallon. It defaults to 100 liters. We always talk in grams per gallon, so we want to talk how much for 1 gallon of solution. Concentration type, I'm going to leave it in ppm. I'm going to leave it in grams, and I'm going to leave it in non-empirical. Next time we are going direct addition. We are not going to make a concentrate. We're going direct addition. And then lastly, we can either input desired concentrations or concentrations from weight. And essentially what that means is, notice on the left here, this gets blacked out when we go concentrations from weight. So to input desired concentrations, you could say I want 125 parts per million of nitrogen, I want 50 parts per million of phosphor, and I want, actually I kind of like that, 230. We'll go with 225 on potassium. Calcium, we probably only need like 125. Sulfur, everything else is pretty good here. Now, before we go, we have to select nutrients. But once we do that, we could have it work out everything it needs to do to get to those calculations. Or we can figure it out by hand. So firstly, we got to go up here to nutrients substance selection. And this is where we are going to kind of figure out what the heck we're going to use. So all of this, most of this over here, these are your substances on the left. So you have all your substances to choose from. And you'll notice there's a lot of commonly used ones: ammonium sulfate, calcium carbonate. There's stock solutions in here. So there's stock element, or not elements, but stock salts and nutrients in here. So like potassium, nitrate is in here. Basic things are in here. And we can check them out. We can edit them and change their values or see what their values are. Or we can add them to be used right here at the top, and we'll do that. But, so like calcium nitrate's in here. We use calcium nitrate, and this stuff is as good as Jack's calcium nitrate or Yara or whatever. We can check if we hit edit solution. We know that this calcium nitrate is, oh, sorry, I'm in copper nitrate, come on. Where the heck's calcium nitrate? Did I? Oh, I changed it. I changed it. I think I changed it. We have pure cal. Okay, here we go. Calcium nitrate at the bottom. Excuse me, guys. So calcium nitrate, you find your calcium nitrate. We check it. This is based on a 14.4% nitrogen, 1.1% ammonium nitrogen. So basically that's a 15.5 nitrogen and a 19 cal. Formula here. So that's what this one is. If you used like a 13% nitrogen and an 18% cal, you could change that in here. Anyway, we'll select calcium nitrate to be used. And then the last thing we would need to do is, for our 2-part at least, we need to add Jacks to this. So how we can do that is a couple ways. One, you need to know what the nutrient composition of Jacks, or of anything. This isn't particular to Jacks. So whatever this is, especially dry salts right now, we'll really stick with dry salts. You do, let me get you guys back here. On the back of the label, they give you everything. They give you the nitrogen amounts, they give you all the percentages that you need on the back of any bottle, bag, whatever it is, it's all here. Now, You can also get that if you go to, say, Jack's Nutrients. I don't know why this is hanging on here. We'll go back to that. If you go to Jack's Nutrients, click on it. They changed some listings here. Okay, so we're going. Sorry guys, it's taking a little bit, but we find a picture. I know they have them on here. And look at, so here's all the nutrient values for Jack's. So we have 5% nitrogen, 12% phosphorus, and what's key is right under my cursor you see P2O5, that's phosphate, or K2O, that's potash. That's important here. Remember that. All nutrient labels go in phosphate and potash. They don't actually go in true elemental phosphorus and potassium. So just note that. Calculator shows it. So anyway, we take these values and then we go back to HydroBuddy and we say we want to add a new formula. Uh-oh. My processor's struggling right now. We're gonna shut down everything we can here. All right, that should help us out. Okay. Such is life when you run a program that's not meant to be ran. All right. So substance selection, we're going to add a new formula, and we are going to call this Jack's 2. It's Jack's Part A, Test V2. All this is just, I've already inputted this formula, so we're going to go with it. But when we go back to Jack's, the bag, we know that it has 5% nitrate, no ammonium. It has 12% potash. So right here, you remember this. This is key. Right here in the center, make sure it is in phosphate for phosphor, and make sure it is in potash, 26 in potash. And that is key because potash is technically only like 91 or 93% potassium, and phosphate is about 43, 45, something in the 40%. So 12% 12% phosphate is really only like 6% or 5% potassium. Anyway, that's the key. After that, we can put in all the rest of the formula. You just go back and look, and I don't want to do this anymore, so we're going to abort. But what that comes down to is when you do it correctly, we're going to have something that looks just like this. Here's all the micros, everything we need, and then once you hit save or update or whatever it may be, it gets put into this kind of data bank file. So when this is, I just recently downloaded this, so it only has Jack's and a couple other additionals in here, but normally it would have, like I have Athena in here, I'd have Front Row Ag, I'd have everything would be in here, so at any time you come and use it, you just pick what you're going to need. Like I've got biofuel in here from Impello and things like that. So the last thing I'm going to need right here is just magnesium sulfate. So we're going to put magnesium sulfate in the mix. And once you have what you're going to be used over here on the right, there's nothing to hit other than just close it down. And we're going to do a concentration by weight and carry out the calculations. Once you've done that, you go to the results page, and this is where the fun starts. So check to make sure you guys are good. Okay. So this, here. This is where the fun starts, and since we're doing calculations by weight, that's all we're going to do, is put our weights in here. So calcium nitrate, we like to run 2 grams per gallon, and Jax, we like to run 4 grams per gallon. As soon as you input those weights, bam, it outputs, ooh, my bad. So because I restarted my program, I have to go back and hit 1 gram, or 1 for my volume, make sure it's in gallons, and then try that again. Notice we were just doing it for, we're doing it for 100 liters. So those weights really did nothing for us. Come back here, 4 grams of Jax, 2 grams of calcium nitrate, and now we have some numbers that look extremely familiar. Because there's 2 forms of nitrogen in here, and those forms are important. HydroBuddy breaks it down into ammonium nitrate, or ammonium nitrogen and nitrate nitrogen. So 128.9 parts nitrate, almost 6 parts per million of ammonium form, and gives us, our 130, whatever, 135, 136. Phosphor, potassium, you get it. You go down the list, it tells you exactly what you have. It's fantastic. So if we say, man, this mix has a lot of nitrogen, how can I drop the nitrogen? Well, we all know calcium nitrate is your big form of nitrogen here. So what if we said instead of 2 grams, let's do 1.75. 1.75. What did I do wrong? Got it. 1.75. And now we've dropped our nitrogen. What was 128 here in the nitrate is now 119. Granted, we lost a little bit of calcium in that, but that's the idea. So you can come in here, and when you have a thought of like, oh, I have too much nitrogen, or oh, I want more potassium, oh, or I want this, or oh, look at this. How about we go back to the main page? We go to substance selection, and we find potassium monobasic phosphate, aka MKP. I do not, or MPK, monopotassium phosphate, MKP, monopotassium phosphate. We're going to add that to the selection. We're going to go back. We hit carry out selection again, or carry out calculation again, and now we go back. So now, in addition to the Jax, or whatever we have in there, we can also say, well, what if we added a 1/4 gram of potassium phosphate of MKP 0.25 per gallon. That would boost our potassium up to 247 and our phosphor up to 70. So it's almost a 50%, it's probably like a 40% bump in phosphor, and a like 10 or 20% bump in potassium. So those are things you can find out using this. Let me check in with the chat here, make sure everyone is still following along. Perfect. Okay, good enough for me. You guys are all still here. That works. The last little thing we could do, and so before we get out of here, what this does, it gives you a projected EC right here. It's kind of cool. So we have 1.758 possible EC. There's some impurities in the water and in everything, so it's going to probably be 1.7 here. It'll probably be like 1.9 in reality. But anyway, if you say wanted to take this same ratio, we always talk about ratios. Let's say Jax 4:2. Let's get rid of the MKP. So Jax at 4:2 will give us a 1.7 EC. Well, let's say we wanted to water at 2 EC, but we didn't want to do all the math to calculate what those grams per gallon would be. Well, once we put it in here, we can come down here to this plus minus, and we can just increase the EC to about 2, and it changes these weights up top, and then obviously the data accordingly over here changes as we increase the EC or decrease the EC. But again, it does that maintaining these ratios. So it's really cool. So for guys who are like, oh, I feed 3, 2, 1, like I feed 3, 2, 1, Okay, well, 321 at the exact weight is only around 1.6, but some guys are like, oh, I feed 321 at 2.5 EC. Well, 2.5 EC, we'll just crank it up. And 2.5 EC is really like 5.1, 3.4, 1.7. That's a ton of magnesium, but anyway, you get the point. So that's a couple things you can do here, as well as you can check out nutrient ratios. So whether it's your nitrogen and potassium, one ratio is getting talked about right now, we could put like potassium to calcium, or excuse me, phosphor to potassium ratio. You could change anything you want, and you can add more ratios in here. So other cool things you could do on here. So let's go back and let's say we have a perfect, we're going to do everything the same, but come down here at the bottom and we're going to put input desired nutrient concentration. Now before that, we're going to go and select some substances. So we like calcium nitrate, but we're going to get rid of Jax, and we're going to, you know what, we're actually going to add Jax back, because I'll do this a little more basic than even that. Add to use. Okay, potassium phosphate. So I'm going to add Jax, MKP, magnesium sulfate or Epsom salt, calcium nitrate. We'll give it a little bit of, how can we do this? What else do we maybe want in here? You could put anything you want in here that you could dream to think of to make a solution, essentially. So anything, some may be more advanced, some maybe just want a really basic thing. So that's why I'm saying you could do anything you want. So you put all these in here. We're just going to do a basic thing here. And then we come over here and we say we want a solution that has 125 parts per million of nitrogen. 5 parts of it can be, we'll go like this. We'll go 115 nitrate, 5 parts per million in ammonium nitrogen, and then phosphor we want 50. It's 50. Potassium we want 225. Magnesium we want 60. Calcium we want 125. Sulfur we'll go with 100. And then the micros, honestly, I'm not an expert enough to tell you what exactly you need with micros per, so we're just going to leave this. That's what we should do. I don't have it in here, but what you could do, if you're going to do something like this, something you could do is you could go, you go up to here, like go to Jax. If I was doing nutrients by myself here, nutrient line, like if I wasn't using just the recipe and I was trying to be a scientist here, how would I do this? You would need most. Long story short, instead of mixing micros, I would use a soluble trace, and I don't even know how to find that on Jax's website. Maybe in here. Okay, specialty nutrients. Here we go. No, not specialty. I know they have it. How would you? Screw it, Google. Most. Mix of soluble trace. Okay, maybe Jax isn't selling it anymore. Maybe Jax is selling it. Okay, whatever. Okay, so Jax is not selling it anymore, but don't you worry. J.R. Peters still sells it. But you get something like Jax Most, or there's plenty of soluble traces. And then you could take this, which has a breakdown. You can see all the percentage numbers here. You take these percentage and you can put it into HydroBuddy as well. So we put that in there to do the solubles. But for the sake of this video, we are just going to take all these out so it doesn't have any confusion. But if you want those, you put them in. Just know that. So anyway, we have everything here. This, we've selected our substances, and now we just say carry out selection. It'll tell you that, hey, this one wasn't used in here, blah, blah, blah. Remove it and you'll get more accuracy. So play with it a little bit and go from there. And then this is exactly how it would be. So once you've done that and you've said, I want this, you go to the results page, you come over here and it tells you the substance. Oh, fuck, that was a link. That was cool. I didn't know you could do that, Daniel. Okay, it looks like there's some Amazon links in here. I had no idea about that. Anyway, calcium nitrate, 2.2 grams. MKP, 0.1 gram. And then Jax at 3.69 I mean, it came so close because that's the Jax formula that I like to run, is about those parts per million. So that's why it was real easy with Jax. But if you didn't use Jax and you use, say, like potassium nitrate and whatever else, okay, I get it. We could use, we just had a bunch of shit. Potassium sulfate. And let's add, where's potassium nitrate? Potassium nitrate. Okay, there we go. We'll add all that for now, and we'll try this again, carry out the calculations. And this time, because we added so many more things in there, it was able to make that same formula that we had. So this same formula over here, the 115, that's the goal. It did all that using all this instead of Jax. It actually did use a little bit of Jax, but far less this time than it did last time, and it could be a little bit more accurate. So yeah, that is honestly really it, guys. That's how I use HydroBuddy, and then I literally just come over here, and you can export it to a CSV file, which is essentially an Excel file, or honestly, I just come over here, hit Control Copy, and then I go and paste that into Excel, and those numbers go exactly into Excel and line up with how I've set up my elementals over here. So it's really easy. We could come down and hit like Control Paste, and it would give us all the ppms that were in there. So we don't need that in here, but that is how I get this information for all nutrient solutions. So that we put in Jax, we can put in Athena, we can put in crop salt, we can put in front row, you can put in GH and do Lucas. You can do, a lot of people talk about master blend or mega crop. They're in here, guys. You can put the numbers in. I don't recommend nutrients. I recommend nutrient ratios and nutrient numbers. You can hit that with, it's the old skin a cat. You literally can make, and I just showed you here in HydroBuddy, you can make this formula over here 6 ways to Sunday, and it'll have the same. Now, with that said, some inputs may not be as soluble, may not be as plant available as other ones, and this program doesn't take in account solubility. So you could take something like gypsum, which is really unsoluble for the most part, and you can use it in here and it'll give you numbers, but it's very inaccurate on how much is actually available. So you do have to know a little bit about what's available, but you can go into any, okay, so we could copy a nutrient solution too. So you could put Athena, I'm just gonna be real, because if people wanna copy the hype brands, you could put Athena, you could put Drip Hydro, you could put whatever in here. What it should come out to. So you could say okay, so here's how we would do this. We copy a nutrient solution. So we put Jax in here. Can we reset all? Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Can I go like that? Oh yeah, you can. Nice. Do not use. Perfect. So we could say, I'm going to show you how to copy Jax here. So we could copy Jax. Copy Jax. We do 1 gram, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to go concentration by weight. And so once we do this, we have an output. We have 1 gram per gallon. So to get 1 gram per gallon, it gives us this. One gram gives us this. So we could go in here and then we could input those. So I guess we could do 1,000 just to make it a kilo. That way the numbers would be a little, maybe 500, half kilo. Still big numbers, 100 grams. Just make it manageable, whatever it is. We could put those in. So, okay, hold tight on this. I'll teach you guys this one next time. I need to refresh myself on exactly how I do this. Try and do it on the fly here. It's not something I do all the time. But long story short, you could put in the desired concentrations, and instead of putting in jacks, on every nutrient, so we can go to jacks part A here. On every nutrient solution, I'm just using jacks as an example. You can do it on Athena, you can do it on whoever the hell else you want. What they put is right here, derived from, right in the center here, derived from. And what derived from is literally just means that's what's in there. They didn't do anything to it. When they say derived from potassium nitrate, it just means literally potassium nitrate's in the mix. So you could go to that substance selections page and put in potassium nitrate, magnesium sulfate, monopotassium phosphate, aka MKP. These are basically the iron and microchelates. The boric, all that will give you your micros. You put all that in, and then you can hit carry out calculations, and it'll find that value based on these inputs, not based on jacks or based on Athena or based on whatever. So you can reverse engineer anything and make it from the pure raw salts if you so choose to. All right, that is it, I promise. Okay, let me pull up the chat. Awesome. Okay, if you guys got any questions, go ahead and throw it down in the chat before I bounce. Otherwise, I'll probably just close this video up, let it go. Yeah, that's right. Fuck Floraflex. Good comment there. Love it. I have not ran the numbers on drip hydro. That is actually what I'm out here to do it. When you do, before I let you go, when you do, liquids are harder to do in HydroBuddy than non-liquids. So when you add a new solution here, see, I hate this because these have all come off right now, because I'm telling you, run it in Windows. This works, you can run it on Mac, but running it in Windows, you have zero issues with any blackouts. But essentially density is what you have to worry about. Like water is 1 gram per milliliter. 1 milliliter equals 1 gram of water. That's the density. But if you start putting nutrients in there, it weighs more than that, right? Like you have more shit in there, so it weighs more. That's just how it works. So the key is to get the actual density. And how you would do that is, and I'm going to do this later for mine. Obviously, I've been here because I've checked this thing out. Front label, back label. See, this is nice. I will say, for whatever, at least they give you that. So here is everything you need to put into drip hydro. So you put in all those numbers into your HydroBuddy, into this like normal. But lastly, see, now it's like broken. I have to restart this and whatever. Active port. In here, this, whatever. Yeah, we're good to go. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, what you need to find is the net weight. I'm sorry to get distracted here. So the key to a liquid solution is the net weight, and of course it's not on this label. But what that net weight will give you is you have, X amount of liters divided by the weight, or maybe it's the weight divided by the liters, actually. Now I'm thinking about grams per liter. You have your weight divided by the liter. Oh, here we go. So net volume is 18 liters and net weight is 23, blah, blah, blah. So what we have, grams per milliliter would be 23.37 divided by 18.93, 1.2 grams per liter. Would be your volume, I guess, would be. So you input that and it'll give you basically a more accurate representation of the data in there. The issue is if part A and part B have the same, if that net weight and net volume and net weight are the same, no big issue, no harm nor foul. But if one is more dense than the other, then when you start to put weights in here, it gets a little skewed. So I will say that, like, in my data, what are you guys even looking at right now? Okay, so I'm not even showing you shit, I'm sorry. So you go in here and you need to find the net weight. This is how I did all that, I'm sorry. We just go in there, we divide 23.37 divided by 18.93, and that's how I got that number of 1.23. You put in that instead of 1 and you'll have a more accurate representation. But yeah, highly suggest just download. Someone just said in the chat, download HydroBuddy, play with it. Don't be scared of it. It's really simple. Like I said, if you can read a label, it'll get you close enough. Like that density thing I just talked about with liquids and drip hydro, you will get close enough even if you don't do that. But obviously, if you're going to talk about data, we want to be as accurate as possible. But grab HydroBuddy. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Take you 5 minutes to download it, get it going, and rock out. And then when I talk about nutrient solutions and things like this, you guys can either say, like a couple people have, for instance, my Lucas formula is slightly off because I didn't do the density part. You can say, hey Gene, that's slightly off, like what's up with that? Or people love to just poke holes, so you can do that for fun. Or you can actually have a productive thing to say and be like, oh, that's fantastic, I've been running this and I started altering this and this is what's happened and this is the data behind that. So a lot of people are like, oh, I added this and I got so much more yield and blah, blah, blah. Or like, oh, I'm deficient, how much should I add? I don't know, how much should you add? Or if you are deficient, you're adding shit, how much are you adding? Like I use 2 milliliters of CalMag, you can start the CalMag debate, like I use 10 milliliters of CalMag per gallon. Well, how much actual available calcium and magnesium are you giving your plants with that, You can find that all out using HydroBuddy and be off to the races. Okay. All right, guys, that wraps it up for now. I'm gonna take off, get back to Sunday. Hope you guys have a good rest of the day and a good week. I'll have a new update of the garden up that's running this 4-2 formula probably next Friday. Just had one up, so if you haven't watched it, go check it out. Otherwise, like if you want to and subscribe if you're not. And regardless, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.